Hello traders, today is Saturday, January 25th, 2025. I'm going to start the video mentioning the earnings that are coming next week. Please keep in mind that this content is for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. So let's take a look at what we have for earnings. This is my X page. The link is in the description. Feel free to follow. I do put a lot of charts, or at least I try. But anyways, let's take a look at what we have for next week. On Monday, I'm just interested on SoFi. I'm not gonna lie. Nothing else that actually catches my eye. Then on Tuesday, you have Boeing, GM, Royal Caribbean. Those are gonna be interesting. And then after hours, I wanna see Starbucks and Stride. That's all I have for Tuesday. On Wednesday, you have ADP. I would love to see that. And then we have Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, IBM. Those are the ones that I'm interested on the results that they're going to have. On Thursday, you have UPS, MasterCard before the bell, and Caterpillar, Mobileye. Those are going to be interesting. And after the bell, you have Apple, Intel, Visa, and Amazon. They didn't include Amazon. Oh, on Wednesday, we have Baba as well. Then Friday, you have ExxonMobil and Chevron. That's all I'm looking at for next week. That being said, let's take a look at the first name of the day of the video, and that is AMD. So looking interesting, to be honest. Yesterday, one thing that I mentioned was that it was important to break the 35 SMA. Well, it didn't. It closed down pretty much flat, 0.16. Let's take a look at the 5 minute. Yeah, you had some action. You had this rebound on the 35. On the 325 SMA. Came back and down, and then nothing really happened after that. Sellers took control. But you weren't able to break the 35 SMA that at this point on the daily chart is looking as a very strong level of resistance. You had a failure right here, a rejection for a couple of trading days. And this was the beginning of December, the beginning of January, of this month. You had two more attempts which were rejected. And now, this week, you had two more attempts that were rejected, which is fine, I guess. One thing that I think is critical right now is to maintain this level of support at 121. If we break support, you're going to meet 111 in a hurry. It's that simple. But if this level of support maintains and we're able to mount the 35 SMA, I think that once you break this volume shelf, which is right when you mount the 35 SMA, you're going to have an easier path to get to 134. If we take a look at the weekly chart, this is actually not looking bad. This is a 200 SMA, this line right here. And you had this nasty red candle, and the following, you have this nice move and rebound or retest of the 200 SMA, and then you mounted this level of resistance at 121. MACD and TSI on the weekly chart are starting to take shape to the upside. Now you need more momentum, and let's see what we get next week. But don't be surprised that on this lower time frame, a daily time frame, the 1 day or the daily chart, don't be surprised that if you mount the 35 SMA, then you're going to start moving towards 135. Now, that doesn't mean that we're out of the weeds and we're going to rally towards 170 or something, but it means that we are starting to get more buyers to acquire AMD and start moving. Keep an eye on what is happening up here as well. The 200 SMA is about to cross the 325 SMA. So just be mindful of that. Look at this. You had a continuation to the downside, and then when you cross it to the upside, you start going up again. I mean, food for thought. Not looking bad on the weekly, to be honest. So we'll see what we get next week. Now let's take a look at BABA. And let me take a quick note here. Sometimes when I see BABA and I see this type of chart, I just go crazy because of all the gaps and how it trades. I mean, it drives me nuts. But I think this is setting up very nicely. A couple of very interesting things happen here. You have this level of what it was when you were here of resistance at 81. Now, on the middle of the month, about, what was it, 10 days ago, a week and a half ago, you mounted resistance, but you also mounted the 325 SMA. And then the move continued going, and you end up mounting the 200 SMA, this line right here, and the 325 SMA. Now the 325 SMA is curling up and is not breaking under the 200 SMA. That's also very good. MACD and TSI are starting to get divergence between their signal lines. The RSI is already on its way. This is very nice. This looks very nice. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Is looking great. You're mounting the 35 SMA, you're moving. So you might actually have a nice surprise next week or in the following 2 weeks. We'll see. But I love the fact that you actually were able to move with momentum over resistance, the 325 SMA, the 200 SMA, and now the 300 SMA. This is looking great. So definitely a name that you want to keep on your short list, because not short list to short it, but on your, I guess, focus list for a trade next week. There might be some opportunities. Now, be mindful that on Wednesday, the 29th, I think at night or after the bell, is it? We don't know. We might get earnings. We'll see. We'll see what they got. But this is looking good. Now let's talk about Bitcoin. And let me take a quick note right here. Look at this. If we go to the 4-hour, you can see the top of the wicks right here coming down. So you can put a symmetrical triangle here. You're coming on an uptrend. So you see this compression right here, and you can see it on the daily chart as well. Look at the wicks on the top and on the bottom. I do think that we can break very nicely if momentum comes in. But another thing that is positive is that you're maintaining range between 109 and 100. So this is your support, 100, your resistance, 109. MACD and TSI are kind of neutral. It would be optimal if they had more divergence. They are getting a little bit closer to their signal line. Not what you want to see, but again, it's a weekend. If we get more momentum, maybe tomorrow or this afternoon or before market hours, we might see a nice move to the upside. But even if you come down towards support, I don't think it's bad. I love the fact that we're accumulating liquidity here. You have a nice volume shelf here, which is a good point of support as well, right on top of the 35 SMA and right on top of this level of support. So we'll see. I think next week we might get a nice surprise. And then you have to keep an eye on all these Bitcoin proxies, CLSK, Coin, Cores, Iron, Mara, MicroStrategy, Riot, Wolf, and I added XYZ as well because I have exposure as well. But yeah, something interesting might happen next week. We'll see. But as far as a chart, it's not looking bad at all. I love the fact that it's compressing in this area right here. Now let's talk about, I gotta go back up. Let's talk about Cava. And this is not looking bad. You have the MACD and the TSI getting some divergence from the signal lines. That is good. You're mounting the 35 SMA. If you break resistance at, what is this, 126, you're gonna move with ease towards this area right here. You see this candle? Let's add this for good measure. We can actually add this as a level of resistance, and the reason why I'm doing this is because you have this test right here, this second one right here, and then you closed this day right here, and then you broke, came down, then you form this little double bottom, I guess, here, and now you have to break 126. Then you're coming here, and another reason why I'm putting this line here as a key level is because of the volume shelf is starting right above it. So it might be a little bit difficult to break this level right here, but if there is momentum coming, I think this is just gonna move. So 132 is another critical level of resistance, but for now you just have to focus on how we break 126, and if we do it with momentum, there might be an opportunity here from 126 to 132, you know, for a quick swing. Okay, that's what I have for Cava, and now I want to touch on, where are you? Clover. And look at this chart. I have been mentioning Clover Health for a minute. I think the first time I mentioned this on this month, because I've been following, and if you follow my channel, I've been following this thing since we were in this area right here, June or July. Now this is one of the stocks that were a Wall Street bets stock. It was a very volatile stock. It was a meme stock, but it seems like now management is really doing very good things with this company, and it's showing. At least it's showing on the price of the stock. It's been moving since May of last year, very, very nicely. So you were back at 61 cents, and now you're almost at $5. That is outstanding. Let's measure this. Wow. You know, I just realized that as I was looking at this, as I was making the video, 712%. That's insane, since May of last year. Wow, in 280 days, in less than a year. So you have 191 bars, so 191 trading days. You made 712%, give or take. That is outstanding. Wow, what a beautiful move. Imagine if you actually bought lips on May. That's a lot of money. Okay, let's focus on the chart. It's looking really good. The RSI is overbought. That is pretty obvious. We can all see that. So what I was saying on my last video, which was on Thursday, yeah, I mentioned this on Thursday, is that it would be optimal to see maybe a rejection on this area at 482 and coming back into this level at 430, and then once you retest support, then you can move up, because that will cool down, especially the RSI, and then it will give you a little bit of a break for the MACD and the TSI. That said, you can see that volume is more prevalent, especially in the last 2 trading days. You can also see that you broke this volume shelf. You just moved through it. You broke resistance, and now you're getting up to this level of resistance that comes, I believe, from back in 2021. Let's go to a weekly and maybe we can see it. Look at this. So I'm using something happening. I mean, I'm using the daily chart for this level, but this is as old as 2021. That is insane. I do think if they have good earnings, I do think if they have good guidance, this thing is probably going to get to a higher level. I don't want to make a prediction because, again, I remember the history of this stock, but just look at the chart. Look at all this green right here. Look at all this. This is fantastic. I'm happy for them, to be honest. You know, that's crazy. But again, if we break this level, that is very, very positive, because you haven't been above this level for almost 4 years. That is quite interesting. Now, it would be great if we get rejected here, come back to 430 or maybe even 390, which you would be meeting that 35 SMA. And at that point, then you propel yourself back up into higher levels, maybe filling this gap right here. Who knows? But this is looking great. It is overextended for sure, but I do think that it's exciting, you know. It's not that overextended on the weekly, so you still have more room to go on the weekly, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have a little bit of a cool down here. I'm not sure what is the level of the short interest in this stock. I haven't looked into that in a long time, but if it's high, then this thing is going to keep moving up. Interesting. Again, this is one of those nostalgia stocks from 2021 or 2020, 2021 days of trading. Those days were interesting. But look at this. This is looking fantastic. I'm glad I've been talking about it for a while. Another one that I talk a lot about is HIMS. And let's take a look at HIMS. And before I take a quick note, the chart in this case is not looking bad. So one thing that I mentioned was that I opened a Robinhood account with $500 just to check how Legend or Robinhood Legend works. In my opinion, I said this yesterday, Robinhood Legend is crap. It is a little bit cooler on the, which I downloaded the application on my phone yesterday, but you know, it feels like it feels like, I don't know, it feels like a little gaming application. I don't know, it feels weird. That being said, I did buy, I think it was either 1 or 2 contracts for HIMS. Now my account is only $500, so I have to be very mindful on the amount of risk that I take, because you can blow up $500 in one trade, or well, you can blow up much more money on one trade. But the way I like to trade, once I actually saw my position, my baby position on HIMS yesterday, but it was up about 35%. Now I sold it, and I guess this is my point. The only reason why I sold, and I sold somewhere around this candle right here on the 5-minute. And the only reason why I sold is because it's a very tiny account, and right now it only has. I started that like 10 days ago, and with $500, and now it's at $950. So I just have to be mindful with the positions that I got. Now the next week we have earnings, which is fantastic. I did buy one, I think it was June call contract for Walmart, just because next week is earnings, and I just don't want to trade any of the names that are reporting next week. I don't like to trade earnings unless I have positions that are dated positions. But HIMS is looking good. Yeah, you have this you had sellers taking control towards the end of the day on Friday, but it wasn't that bad. I need to see the extended hours. That makes more sense. It wasn't too bad. So you were flat on Friday. This has a lot of more to give. Look at the MACD and the TSI. I do believe that you are going to encounter 35 pretty soon. I like the fact that you got a little red. I wouldn't mind coming back towards 29.7 and then retest this level of support and then move up to 35. That would be fantastic. I think the MACD and the TSI are already telling you a story, and the story is we're moving up. You are right above this volume shelf, which again, you can come down towards resistance, towards support over here. But, above 30 or 31, you have actually low liquidity, and it's getting lower as you get to a higher level, obviously. And then once you break 35, you get into price discovery. I do think that that HIMS is probably going to hit it's going to finish a year or get into the third or fourth quarter in the $70 to $75 range. Now, that thesis is going to be, I guess, more solid once we get this report, and that is coming on Monday, March the 3rd. But from now and March, which we have a month and a half till then, I do think we have a lot of opportunity to go into 35 and maybe into price discovery, which means all-time highs. I think this move is pretty solid. I love the fact that we came, if you want to call it, a double bottom. I love the fact that you broke resistance and then retest resistance on this week with momentum, and then you're moving very nicely to the upside. Let's get rid of this. I just want to clean this up. So HIMS, it's not looking bad. Now let's move on and take a look at our friends at Meta. And before I take a quick note, I did take a swing trade. I bought calls right here. I sold them yesterday. Not bad. However, I missed a good chunk of the move. I did sell right on top of this in this red candle right here. Let's zoom in. To me, this was already weakness. I wanted out, and I guess I wasn't I don't know. I just wanted to get my money out, and maybe I might jump in. I might actually buy some calls before earnings for Meta. I might risk some money there. That being said, buyers came back in, and towards the end of the day, you end up the day flat. Yet you manage to close the day at 1.73%, all-time highs. And now I think that you can actually go towards 150. I think at the end of the day, to be honest, if earnings are decent, just decent, Meta is gonna hit 700 in a hurry. That's it. Look at this formation right here. I'm just looking at it. Very nice. MACD, TSI are looking good. RSI is looking good. The weekly might be a little bit extended. No, not even. It's actually neutral above that zero line, which is fine. And look at this. It's just poking his head out. That is nice. So the weekly, the daily, looking good. Let's go to the monthly and see what's up. If I like to see these two time frames, weekly, daily. I use a daily for the most part, as you know, but this is not looking bad at all. This is looking great. So Meta, keep that in your short list. Now let's go back and talk about, if I can find, I always have a hard time finding Reddit on my list, and let's talk about Reddit. So it's really trying to work to break, or actually got to break resistance, but it came back. At one point yesterday, I was like, okay, this is a move, I was looking at this move early in the morning, and I was like, okay, this is going to start moving. Then some weakness came. Once I saw this move right here, I was like, okay, this is going to maintain this area. Then I went on my day, I went to the gym, I went, to handle my own business. And next thing I do, I check my phone. You're under the 325 SMA, and came back to support. Kind of had like this double top right here, or double bottom right here, and nothing else happened. A disappointing day, even though Reddit managed to close green for the day, but not a good looking candle, if you will, if you're trying to break out of range. Now, maybe on a positive note, we can say that, well, it's maintaining support. Yes, that is true. But you need momentum. You need buyers coming in. You need buyers pushing in rather than sellers ruining the day pretty much right off the bat. You had this move, and then after that, sellers took control. So we'll see what we get next week. This might be an interesting play, but it could lose momentum and break support and bring you back towards 158, 159. So be mindful of that. Now, if this actually is just a retest, which is very possible as well, then you're going to start shooting up just like GEV did. And remember, I gave you GEV because the setup was very, very similar to this. The same with Robinhood and some others. But this is still not looking bad. But the only thing I have in mind right now, we need more buyers coming in, stepping in, and really push this thing to the upside. Earnings are not coming until middle of the next month. So we have about, 25 days for it, give or take. Now let's talk about, let's do Tesla. All right. So let me take a note on Tesla. There's a couple of things that I want to address about Tesla. So we went under the 35 SMA. That's worrisome. That's what I said on my last video. You want to maintain the 35 SMA, because if you maintain the 35 SMA, that means that you're maintaining this level of support right here at 415. Well, we broke both of them yesterday. Yes. Now let's go to the 5-minute. And it was an absolute sell from the get-go. It was bouncing on the 325 SMA, but once it broke the 325 SMA and the 200 SMA, it was a wrap. It was done for the day, and this thing just came down. There was momentum to the downside. No doubt about it. Now, you can actually argue that you might be consolidating just like what you saw on this move right here, right? And then you started moving up. That could happen. Now, if you go to the weekly chart, then you can argue, okay, well, this doesn't look bad at all. And it doesn't. It doesn't look bad on the weekly, to be honest. The only thing that makes me nervous now, on the daily chart at least, is, well, the obvious, that on what is it, Wednesday, you have earnings after the bell, and the MACD and the TSI are looking horrible on the daily. I'm not gonna lie. Now, if you break this level, which you are, of this volume shelf right here, then you don't have volume or liquidity until you hit 325, 365. So that is worrisome. So one of the things that I'm thinking is, a lot of people are very positive about Tesla, and I want to be positive about it, trust me. But the only thing that can save this move, in my opinion, right now is decent earnings. And by decent, I'm being very, I guess, generous. Keep in mind that Tesla missed deliveries. I believe it did a couple of weeks back. So we have to keep that in mind. But I think if earnings are good, this thing is going to shoot to 500 and beyond that. So there's definitely a very risky trade, but we'll see. We'll see how we end up landing on Tesla. Again, right now on the daily, it's not looking too good. The weekly is looking much better. But we can also argue something, which is what we were seeing here, right? You had this momentum, but the MACD and the TSI weren't behaving the same way as they are behaving now. They were in a different place. They were under the zero line and whatnot. And back in these areas, the behavior was completely different, than what we have here. So these indicators are, especially the TSI as well, which tells you where the strength of the stock is going. It's very similar to the MACD. It's telling you a different story than what I guess I would like to hear or tell myself. Now, let's move on and finish the video with this guy, Walmart. And I did buy one call of Walmart on my Robinhood account because it only has $930 or something like that. The reason why I bought that contract is, number one, is a small account that I just opened a week ago or two with $500. And the second reason is because I just want to put that money into a name that is not too related to all the craziness that is going to come from earnings next week. So I decided to put this on Walmart. Now, another reason is because look at the MACD and the TSI. You're mounting the 35 SMA and you're about, or on your way at least, to 296 or to prior highs. I think if we break this level, which Walmart wasn't able to break this level, the entire month of December, I think if we do it this time, we're going to have a nice move to the upside. Maybe some nice candles, some nice green candles and whatnot. I love how the MACD and the TSI are looking. Now, keep in mind, when you were up here, look how extended you were on the MACD, the TSI, and the RSI. Now the story is different now because you're all the way down almost to the zero line right here. You're not overbought. And then it's momentum to the upside. You're breaking, or the TSI line and the MACD line are crossing the signal lines. So that's the reason why I was like, okay, if I have a $900 account on Robinhood, and I'm going to put all the money, like all my chips in one name, well, better has a lot of indications that are going to tell me that the move is going to continue. Now, this call is for June, I believe. So these are June calls. I only bought one because, again, the account only has $900 in it. And I want to see how this works. And we'll see. And it's money that I'm okay if I lose it all. Yet I won't allow that, but, I can take a hit. It's $900. Well, friends, this is all I have for you guys. Not sure if I'm going to be able to make a video tomorrow, but I will make a video on Monday, and I will see you on Monday. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe and like the videos, share the content. Also, follow on X. Other than that, have a great weekend. See you guys on Monday. Thank you. Bye-bye.